Now the big question is, did that make it go? Because it would be great if that made it go. Let's find out.
Well, it says it's streaming.
Yeah, I don't really believe technology when it tells me stuff. Plus, this is kind of like the absolute best way. Hey, we're live.
I don't see anything live.
It said live.
Oh, there we go.
And there you go.
Okay.
That'd be great. And we can be heard and everything. So I'm going to close that and do this. And hi, everybody watching live or
Both of us.
recorded. Yes, both of us. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Good
How you doing?
Good to see you. Yeah.
Everybody, I'm Sean.
I'm Jen. This is DBAs at Midnight. Wow.
Redux.
Redux? Remix.
Uh,
I guess Redux too, because it's going to be
Reboot.
shorter. Reiterate.
yes. Anyway,
Anyway,
re-indexed.
we are off to the perfect start.
Yes, we
because that was our intro. We're Sean and Jen McCown. We're the Midnight DBAs. We used to do a weekly web show, and it's about time we get back into doing a web show. It's still going to be called DBAs at Midnight, even though it is not quite noon. DBAs at
It's
noon
midnight somewhere.
doesn't have the same ring. You're right.
Excuse me, my eyes are down here.
Oh, that's right. Hello. Anyway, so this is all things SQL Server and some PowerShell and techie in general and bloody blah. So
Whatever I
Sean,
happened to throw in there.
what was DBAs at Midnight? How did that come about?
Wow, how did it come about?
Yeah. I was there.
Something
I know.
like 15 years ago or so.
Give or take.
Give or take, yeah. I decided, hey, let's do a thing. Let's get on there and talk about stuff. It wasn't live at that point.
No, it couldn't have been.
It hadn't been live. It wasn't live for a long time, actually. Maybe season 2?
We'd have to go back and look. I don't know.
But, yeah, so we just got on and talked about stuff, and we decided, we'll just have a web show. I think that it was brought about by, hey, if a group of teenage kids can get together and do it on Nickelodeon, we can too.
Was it really inspired by iCarly?
I don't know, but maybe.
Huh. Interesting. We'll have to check the timeline on that.
But yeah, and I remember our first one, we had a gray sheet hanging behind us, and we were talking about backups or something, maybe. I forget. But
That very, very first season, we were actually at the old house in the living room, right next to the in front of the closet door.
yeah,
There
that's
wasn't a
why we
sheet
had
or anything.
Yeah, no, there was a gray sheet hung up behind us.
Okay. This is the kind of quality content, by the way. Well, iCarly came out in 2007, so we're going to have to check our dates. Anyway, so DBAs at Midnight, and we were a highly structured, very, I can't even think of the word to be a smartass about it.
Well done.
We stayed up late until the kids finally went to sleep.
Glad to see we've maintained our standards.
I'm telling you, that's what
And
you
I
do.
remember having specific talks back then,
Yeah.
and maybe even online, that we didn't want to do the show until we were a little punchy.
Yes, I remember that too. Oddly enough, I don't remember anything, so
That was a design goal.
it was because it was more fun that way.
Funny, that's how I code too.
No, that's not good.
Oh, well,
You code all the time. I think I
Goodness
woke up
is
the
I'm
other.
always punchy.
I think I woke up the other night and you were coding in your sleep.
Probably.
But yeah, so that's DBAs at Midnight. We went 9 years.
9?
9 times. My now late brother, Midnight Freddy, as we called him then. I know he became our tech producer and helped us with the streaming because, oh my God, streaming back then was not. This is basically push button now. It's
Yeah,
great.
this is hella easy.
Yeah.
It was not
Yeah.
back then.
And we eventually evolved into doing stupid bits and having guests, and it became a thing, man. We had a live audience and chat and all that.
Yep.
So I don't know if this will get to that point or if we'll just sit around and talk for 20 minutes every so often.
Yeah, this is going to be shorter.
It's going to be shorter. We got a lot going on, man. But why are we kicking this off now? What were you going to say?
I don't know. Why are we kicking this off now?
Well, I'll tell you, but
Okay.
you looked like you were going to say something.
I was, and then...
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm good.
And yet I am well. So talking enterprise management, that's our big thing these days.
Well, that's what the topic is, but that didn't tell me why we're kicking it off.
We're kicking it off because we've been talking about enterprise management for years now, and it's getting picked up a little bit, but no one seems to be talking about it the way we talk about it. And so this is going to be the discussion, the reference, the whatever for all things involved with enterprise management.
Okay.
So, hey, I've never heard of enterprise management. What is it?
It's when you manage your enterprise.
That doesn't
Don't you
tell
love
us.
tautology?
Tautology is absolutely tautological.
Very nice. Well, I don't know how to answer that question because the answer's in the question. But I'll say enterprise management is how you manage all of your servers.
Yeah. No, that's good because
I
to
mean,
say enterprise
It's
management,
kind of a given, but
you would think, but so many terms these days are just dumb, you know. I love, there's a YouTube video with a whole bunch of names of like German weapons and vehicles and so forth, and it's things like the Wurfenpanzer, it panzers Wurfens, and so that's what this is making me think of.
so
This is a Stug, it Stugs.
so the better question,
Oh,
other than what is enterprise management?
what is an enterprise?
Yes.
I've attended this class a few times now.
Yes.
What is an
Do you think
enterprise?
we would look better if we open those
I
blinds
think we
and
probably
let
look
us a little bit?
washed out.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to
Besides,
see us that well.
I think the less light you have on me, the
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
So what is an enterprise?
So the problem with that question is
It's a problem already.
the answer's kind of long.
Well, we've got a good, I don't know, at least 2 minutes.
Okay.
No,
It'll take me longer than
we've
that.
got more than that.
Okay, so I usually ask this question to students and then launch into a big 30 or 40 minute thing, sometimes an hour and a half depending on the students. I'll try to keep this a little bit.
An enterprise is when you're in a Fortune 500 company and you have at least 500 databases.
Sure. Is that on one server or multiple servers? Okay, so
That's not the answer.
when I ask this question, I get all kinds of answers, everything from really technical things to dictionary terms to and
Oh, wait. Yes, let's see here. Enterprise. God.
yes, is the lead starship for the
Ooh, yes.
and they're not wrong,
Flagship.
but we've got that's what I was trying to say.
That's okay.
But we've got a simpler term here that meets our purposes a lot better for the discussions going forward,
Okay.
right? But let me start off with saying, if we were, let's say that we were having, that I was going to have you install an SP in a database.
You were going to have me install an SP in the
Yes,
database.
very good. Very well said.
I know my role here. Go ahead.
How would you do it?
Well, you open up SMS and you open up and the SP file that you've clearly coded and saved, and you connect to the box and you hit F5 or Control E,
That's right.
assuming you're in the right database.
We can just say, you open it and run it.
Yeah, no, I wanted to be specific.
Okay. What if I wanted you to put it in 2 databases?
Same thing, but you have to run it once in each database. I'm getting good at this.
Okay. 5 databases?
Same thing, more times.
Yes.
I'm playing the dummy, so I'm going to say that no matter what.
I know.
Yes, playing the dummy. Shut up. If you're married long enough, you get a psychic connection. You can hear the smart-ass comments before they're said. Okay, so we're at 5 databases.
5 databases.
Same SP.
20, 50.
Yep. Totally gonna go through and
blam,
spend
blam,
that
blam,
time.
Blam, right? So this is about the
Use this
time that
one,
most
use
people
this
will tell me 4HDB, which is grand if it's a tiny SP without any DSQL or anything in it.
I'm going to state the obvious sometimes because we're not always going to have techies. 4HDB refers to a system stored procedure that will run a bit of code in every single user database on a server. Carry on.
Yeah. So I've gotten the cursor answer before,
Right?
which again, if you could just like put that SP in a cursor
Yeah.
and have it run, that would be grand, right?
But you can't. You have
But
to
you
do
can't,
an
yeah.
execute SQL, and you know.
Yeah, you have to put
if
it
you're
in
not-
SQL, and that's just not gonna happen.
If you're not particularly techie, just you know it's a pain in the ass, and our dog is dreaming. Wake up, baby.
So you've got to have a way to be able to put this in multiple databases, right?
That's not a giant pain in the butt, so you're not just
Right,
doing that manually, which is
right. And now you've got the same problem elsewhere, right?
Where
So
else?
what happens if I want you to put that SP on 2 different servers?
ooh. Well, then you open up SF.
You do have more options to do it just once, but they're not good either,
Oh, okay.
right? Like group server query and stuff like that.
I
for
was
registered
deathly afraid that
servers
the
and-
first thing you said was going to be linked servers. And
Oh,
there would be violence on our very first
yeah,
comeback
no,
show.
because that still puts you into DSQL and whatnot, right?
I mean, I know that.
And a cursor, it's the same problem. We've just moved it across.
Yes.
So, again, we've got the same problem, right? 1 server fine, 2 servers fine, 20 servers, right?
For a red server, blue server.
Yes. And then let's take that problem to the next level and say, what if I want it on every database on 20 servers? So now we're just expanding that, right? It's the same problem.
Yeah. It looks like you're not going to get to your daily DBA checklist this week.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's another discussion for another time. You can write me or comment if you want to know more about that.
So the way we've had to get around that for the last 20 years, right, is
Scripting.
sure. Well, I was going to say PowerShell, but
I'll
sure.
say scripting because I can't remember when PowerShell came out.
With O5.
That would be about 20 years. Okay.
Yeah, I led with that.
Yeah, but
Before that, we had VB script and stuff, and you can,
scripting.
yeah, and you can still say the generic scripting. But anyway, it didn't become ubiquitous until PowerShell because VB script was just right. So anyway, if you build the script the right way, which isn't hard in PowerShell at all, right?
No, it's not.
You can script it to go across multiple servers and multiple databases. It's just 2 levels of loop,
Yep.
right? And in PowerShell, those 2 levels of loop are extremely easy
Yeah.
and very short, right? So that, let's say that I have to put it on 20 servers. Well, I can have a list of all my servers with all my databases, and I can query that, populate the loop with those results, and it just does it.
As a side note, extremely easy and very short is the name of the biography of my college band.
Okay.
Couldn't let it go.
I don't have the attention span to be
I know.
derailed
I'm
like
sorry.
that anymore.
I'm sorry. You're talking about PowerShell
Yeah,
and a loop
yeah.
within a loop.
So I can do that massive bit, right, with against everything. And you might ask yourself, well, why would I need the same SP in hundreds of databases or thousands of databases? Well, I've seen that before where we had.
I was saying it
Oh, okay.
to myself.
Where we didn't have multi-tenant databases,
Single-tenant
right?
databases, yeah.
And I mean, the
And
most
so-
I've ever had was like 7 or 9 servers with like 15,000 plus databases each on them, and they all had to be kept in sync.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's kind of where this was born,
Yeah.
right? Because I
Because
had
it
to do
can
that.
happen, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's happened to me not in that grand style before, but not to that scale before, but it's happened to me many times since then.
Another use case for this, by the way, has to do with even if you don't have single-tenant databases, there are things that you would need to do across 50 or 500
Yeah.
servers. There are
Yeah.
things that you would need to do. So let's say, for example, you didn't want to gather the information, you didn't want to check, you just wanted to make sure that auto shrink was off
Yeah.
across the entire board. Well, that's where your thing comes in, of looping through every single server and every single database.
Yep. Yes and no, because you can just check sys databases for that. So
Across 500 instances?
No, I'm just saying it doesn't
I'm
have to be
just
across
saying.
all the databases.
It's just another use case. I didn't say it was the best use case.
Anyway,
Carry on.
so
So,
that's the worst case scenario, right? Is everything in your shop. Now, let's say I only want to do it on 2 or 3 servers, right? Well, that little query I wrote to populate that loop just has a where clause now,
yeah.
right? I want to limit it to system databases or limit it to a customer database or whatever. That just has a little where clause now, right?
Maybe you have a set of similar databases among them, but
Yeah,
all of
exactly.
the M star or M asterisk.
So now we're just arguing over the where clause.
Yeah.
Let's say I have one database and on one server that I need to put the object in, right? Still just a where clause.
Yeah.
Instead of where in, it's where equals, or you could say where in and just put that one server and that one database in there.
So you can tell me if this is too early. So, Sean, how does this answer the question, what is an enterprise?
Yeah, too early.
Damn it.
But we're getting there.
Damn it.
We're zeroing in on it.
I'm the audience proxy, so
Yeah.
carry on.
So now you can still do it in SMS if you've only got, a single object, right?
Sure.
Or a single location.
Sure.
But you've already got your script.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, your script has logging so you can tell when something happened and who did it and whatnot, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you've got auditing in your script as well, right? Or checking, or maybe you're taking the one that's out of there right now and checking it in somewhere and then putting it in, right? The operations are endless,
Yeah.
right? So we're just arguing over where clauses now, and that's why I say a good script can make a huge shop into a tiny shop very quickly.
Yeah.
Right? And so that does bring us back to what is an enterprise. Because our definition of an enterprise, do you remember? It's been a long time since we've talked about this, and I teach it all the time.
I do, actually, because I've written about this several times.
Okay.
And it is anything I don't want to do by hand.
Yes.
I
So,
remembered something.
because look at it this way. If I'm without scripting, right? You would say, I've asked people before, can one server be an enterprise? And these were people that I got, good technical dictionary definitions from, right?
Yeah,
from
yeah.
IT, right? And because they were told me, oh, well, an enterprise is 500 or more, or 50 or
Yeah.
more, or whatever the hell, right? And I say, okay, can one server be an enterprise? No. Okay. What if it's got 30,000 databases
I was
on
going to
it?
say, they've never had a server with thousands of databases
Yeah,
like that.
and you don't have scripting. Now you're managing essentially 30,000 servers on your own. I mean, not at the server level, but definitely at the database level, right? Everything you got to do 30,000 times by hand.
Yeah.
So a single server can definitely be an enterprise because, and when we get our script written,
Yeah.
what's the difference between one server with 30,000 databases and 30,000 servers with one database each?
Licensing.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
But feet boots
But-
on the ground.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference to us, right? So that's why I say it's anything that we don't feel like doing by hand, because it doesn't matter how many servers you got. It matters how much work you have to do.
Yeah.
And how much distributed work you have to do.
And by the way, fellow DBAs and data teams, you need to probably lower the threshold of what you're willing to do by hand.
Yeah.
Scripting is huge. It's wonderful.
There's almost nothing you can't do.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do. Yeah, anyway.
So with this concept of what is an enterprise, you notice how I brought it down really simple.
Yeah, anything
Right.
I don't want to do by hand.
Brings us with our first real enterprise rule,
Ooh, so I should write this down.
if you want.
Okay.
You've got one server in your enterprise. Period. One server.
I wrote it down.
Because with our script, And that script can be generic, right? It can be, you can have different ones for specific tasks, for, complex stuff, or you can just have that one script that just runs whatever T-SQL you tell it to.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is
great. Which is great. That'll take you so far. Anybody wants it? Let me know. I've got that script. I give it out like candy. It's easy, right?
Do you have candy?
Not on me.
Well, actually, we've got
some current stuff. Oh, yeah.
Good candy.
God, I've been looking at those too.
I know.
And I still said I had no candy.
Well, I'm not going to share that with you.
I didn't want you to know.
Mine.
So you've got one server in your environment. I don't care if you have 3,000 instances of SQL. With our script, you've got one server to manage because you're going to manage everything through that script. Now, the key to understanding this is perspective.
Okay.
Right? It's not from the perspective of Microsoft licensing.
No.
Because God knows you'll get booted for that.
We're talking about DBA boots on the ground.
Right?
Yeah.
It is in the perspective of how much time it takes me. Right? So let's say that I've got a server that I've got a server that I need to install stuff on. I run my little script and the thing runs in, say, 10 seconds.
Okay.
Say it. No.
It runs in 10 seconds.
And I'm golden, right?
Okay.
Now let's say I need to do something else across my entire shop.
Yeah.
And I use my little script again, right? And it takes 2.5 hours for it to run. That's not 2.5 hours of my time.
Yep.
I'm going to let that run. I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to go off and do something else.
It's the slow cooker of DBA work.
Yeah. So that's what I mean by you've got one server. It's all perspective. It's not the fact that, whoa, screw you, I've got this many instances and I can prove it. I get it. You're thinking about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks about it the wrong way. You're not talking about the perspective of how much you actually have, how much hardware you actually have. You're talking about how much effort it takes you as a DBA to do it.
Write that down.
And so I can get mountains of work done in very little time. Even if I were to do something that took 3.5 days to run.
Yeah.
That's not 3.5 days of my time. I'll just not run it on my laptop. I'll log into one of the servers and run it from there and let it go, right?
Absolutely.
Because I still want to go home.
And you don't want to sever that connection.
Yeah. So...
Quick warning, we are at about time.
Yeah. So that's what we mean by one server.
Yeah.
And you'll hear me talk about one server a lot. And it means a lot more. It goes a little bit deeper than that. There are a lot more examples of how you can use that. And I suspect that during all this, we're going to start exploring some of that stuff.
Oh, fully.
But
as long as we remember. If we don't remember, you need to remind us.
Yeah. But that is the first rule of enterprise management when I teach enterprise management is one server. And you should do everything with that in mind. Don't write a script for each individual. In other words, don't write a script. Even if you've got a special case on this one box that you're going to run this script.
That gets into the next thing.
No, that's like, yeah, you're right. But you lose nothing by making it an enterprise level script.
Yeah.
Period.
So this is the kind of thing we're going to talk about. And I would like to hear from you guys a lot. I want to hear if any piece of this was just a revelation to you, whether you're like, oh yeah, I've thought of it that way for ages. We'd like to hear about that. Comments, requests, all of the above.
What I don't want to hear about is how much I've aged since our last season.
We know. Like I've got glasses now, so, and he's gray.
I'm pretty sure I was gray before, but
yeah, maybe. But there's one thing that we forgot, and that it is actually always midnight somewhere. You see that right there? Let's yeah.
Pretty cool.
Anyway, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far. I'm going to do
Have a lemon drop.
Have a lemon drop. I'm going to do the classic like and subscribe. We don't necessarily give a crap about like our YouTube rankings, but it's a good idea to get notified of when these events happen so that you can comment. We paid no attention to comments this time around, but we're going to get that fixed. So, and I'll look at comments on the video. Cool. I think that's it. How do we sign these things off again? It's been so long.
We used to say,
Yeah.
party on Wayne.
Party on Garth.